Rethink Play Chats. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Tamara. And today we're going to talk about what if our kids don't play? It's a very common question, I think, and a common challenge.
It is a really common question. I so often will hear people say, my kids just come up to me and say, I'm bored, and they don't seem to know how to move past the I'm bored. And the parents or teachers don't know how to help them move into empty spaces of time. And I think,
challenging.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at home, what we can do to support our children in moving, into finding play, into, I guess I like to think about it like this, is that play is kind of like sleep. And that the more you try and sleep, the less you can sleep. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sleep is something you fall back into. It's like a release. You let go and you find yourself falling into sleep. And play is the same way. Yeah. You can't make a child play.
Falling into play, I like that.
Yeah, you can't make a child play, and you can't convince them, well, you have to play, and you can't do this. So what you can do? No, you can't. You can create the conditions just like sleep. And we know that about sleep. In fact, we know with children that most people, before they put their child to bed, little ones will have like a bath and a story or whatever it is. They create a rhythm, and that rhythm falls, helps that child move gently into that state. And this is the same thing with play, is that what we know when you study what happens with play, like how kids can often find play, and you'll see this in a lot of kindergarten classrooms and stuff now too, is that when their adult is busy, this is the interesting thing, busy but emotionally present.
Yes.
So this must be in our biology from long ago, when the adults would be working in fields or whatever it was we would be doing. We were busy because we couldn't just attend to children, but we were emotionally available. And so when we do dishes, when we iron, when we're in a rhythm of doing something, children will often fall into play. They can sense the hum of life around them. They can sense that if you needed to talk to them, you're there. Yes, love. Like you're there, but you're occupied elsewhere. But when you sit on a couch, for example, and just sit there, a child's going to jump on, right? And have a little snuggle time. That'll be a different type of play, but they're not going to fall into their own play when their adult is available in that way.
Yeah.
And so,
and I just a caveat to that, because it doesn't work. Like I know for me, if I'm doing, I tried for a while to do my computer work in the kitchen table, right? And I thought, well, I'm here and I'm present with my kids, and this is a true story, and yet I wasn't present and they sensed that, and they became more needy. And it was like I was there, but I wasn't there because I was trying to craft
That's why the pandemic was so hard for so many people, is that they didn't understand that what happens when we're on our phones or when we're on the computer is that we're actually taken away past our attention's different. And a child senses it because you're no longer emotionally available at all. And I'm not even saying that sometimes there was no choice. Outside of the pandemic, there was like, what do you do? But if we're looking at creating rhythms in our evenings, weekends, when we can, to help children fall into play, we have to realize that if we can be busy, we can do the things that grown-ups need to do, like cooking, cleaning, getting the dishes done, getting things done, and children will therefore uncomfortably move through the boredom phase into the phase where they get drawn into something.
And I think there was a key word there you said too, just to clarify. You said sometimes. And this isn't about play all the time.
No.
There is times when, things have to be done,
of course.
But even if we bring some of those things, some of those chores or things like that into the play mode, we're going to have a lot better, it's going to be a lot better process, because we won't get as much resistance, and the child will be able to engage in it. But
looking at creating those rhythms at home, things that I've done to help create that are having a rhythm to our days, and our week and our seasons, so that children have a sense of, without even knowing it in their head, there's a sense in their body, a visceral sense of the flow of the day. Like every day after quiet time in my household, there was an empty period of time before dinner. Or on Sundays, I always make pancakes. There's always a time in my family, we don't have technology on Sundays. So Sundays there's a big empty day. So, but every family is different and every family does it their own way. But when we create a rhythm to our days, children will have a natural sense of how to fall into their play because they're used to in their body being an empty time at this period of the day. Once they find something to do.
And I think often, thinking about school, that often it's at the end of that school day is actually when they need the most time to kind of process, and what that looks like may not actually feel like play, but that's where they might need to get some of that energy out. And that's even in just getting that energy out. And we'll talk more about what kinds of different play is.
And sometimes they need a big long snuggle hug book time, this period of closeness. And then they feel all filled up and then they can go off. Does that make sense? Sometimes, and with little tiny ones, they're going to go off and play for a little bit, come back, check in. Go off and play for a little bit and come back. And as they get older and older and older, those periods increase until they're off down the street building forts
or across
for hours.
The country going to school.
Exactly. you.
Anyway.
So exactly. So creating those rhythms are very important so that children can fall into their time and space of, it's what their body gets used to. And one thing I was going to add to that is that music also helps. So often if my kids are all over the place and they're all like higgly-piggly and I can feel their little angst, I'll just sort of, without saying a single thing, just put on a piece of music sometimes. And it just shifts the energy.
Totally changes it.
And then they just might sort of fall into a different rhythm. And if I do that consistently, unconsciously, that music can shift them into a new direction.
You don't even have to say it or draw attention to it.
I don't.
Just do it.
I say nothing.
Well, and I think that's the thing. That's the beauty of some of these emotional playgrounds, and we'll talk more about these emotional playgrounds and what they can look like. It, what play can look like. But that's the beauty of it. Is you don't have to draw attention to it. In fact, you shouldn't draw attention to it. It's like, how do you help them fall?
It's just there to
place?
shift emotion, and music is just one of those incredible things as an emotional
drama,
playground.
Dance.
We'll
talk about those.
Absolutely.
All right. Not right now.
Okay, so we're heading out for today. But if you want to watch more of our play chats, you can head to rethinkplayproject.com and join us there. Have a really good week.
See you there.